All right, Alda, thanks for joining me. Really great to be talking to you here, and it's been wonderful to work with you and Jeff and other members of the case community on this important search. So just again, thank you for taking the time. And would love to just kind of begin by having you tell me a bit about your background, what brought you to case, and your different levels of involvement in the school.
Sure, and thank you, Gabe, for doing the hard work here. So I am originally from Texas. I grew up in Texas and moved to the Bay Area when I was a sophomore in high school, and I grew up in the South Bay. And what really struck me about the difference between a place like Texas, which was in some senses very diverse, compared to Cupertino, which is also diverse but in entirely different ways, is the difference in the Asian American experience from both states. And so in Texas, the school that I was at had, I think, one or two other Asian families. There very much was a feeling that I had growing up of being an outsider and different from the folks around me, contrasted to Cupertino, California, which is probably, 50% Chinese and maybe another 25% Indian American. And, that feeling of belonging was one that I really felt was fantastic about sort of the different environment. And for my own kids, I wanted them not to feel that sense of being an outsider, of having been teased or made fun of. And the case values of inclusion, as well as, I wanted my children to understand their own culture. And finally, I thought it was very valuable to learn a different language, especially one that has such a growing sort of geopolitical and business and economic influence. And so I really thought that would be valuable for my kids and their education and development going forward.
And, obviously, so did the founders of CASE, which has been around, we're talking over 40 years here practically, or maybe you're coming up on that 40th anniversary in a few years. And so that just to kind of put that in perspective, I mean, CASE is the first Mandarin immersion school in the country for K-8. What does that mean to you? And, how do you sort of like really reflect on, obviously you weren't there from the beginning, but what do you see that tells you this is a school that has been doing this for a while and really gets it?
Yeah, I mean, so to sort of, those are the reasons that I started and wanted to have my children attend the school. And, I would say that my thinking has definitely expanded since then. My kids started about 6 or 7 years ago. I've got 3 children at the school now, 2 sixth graders and a third grader. And, I think that the value of the school goes beyond just sort of the language and educational components, and really is about the community. And it's been really highlighted to me and my family through COVID and through a lot of, I would say tense sort of geopolitical times. The community has had to understand how to deal with some Asian American hate speech and how to come together as a community and be inclusive of all different types of underrepresented groups. And so that is something that I've really appreciated throughout my time here, is how the school really focuses on those values and brings to the forefront an appreciation for inclusion and diversity.
That's great. Now, the school has brought a lot of other things to the forefront. I believe, so you're on the board, and if I understand correctly, you've been part of the advancement committee, the facilities committee, and the 19th Avenue campus subcommittee. So you put all that together, and I would think you have been at the nexus of this exciting transition for the school to a new campus. Talk about just, you can bring your lens as a board member or as a parent or anybody else. This major moment in time where we're going from 3 campuses where kids are on in the heart of the city to a single not brand new, from you're inheriting an existing campus, but a new campus for the school, what this means, what's the why behind it, and where's all the excitement headed?
I mean, I'm super excited about it. I currently probably spend 4 afternoons after school at a week at the campus, just making use of the fantastic gymnasium and facilities that there are there, which still remains open under construction. And my children are very active in after school sports. And so that's just one aspect that I think we haven't really been able to fully take advantage of, sort of being spread across 3 campuses as we are currently. And obviously having the 3 campuses united in one large and spacious area is going to do wonders for, I think, for the student population to be able to interact with both older and younger kids alike and spend time together, and that community building aspect that I spoke about before. So I'm very, very excited. It's a beautiful campus, and in addition to the athletic opportunities that the campus offers, there are also creative arts that I think will be able to be more fully fostered with a theater, dance studio, and a art studio as well. So those are areas that I really am excited to lean into for my kids and the kids of the future.
And can you talk a little bit about how the board has itself leaned into current and previous advancement initiatives, and just sort of, obviously, the advancement director is driving all this internally, but any organization like CASE recognizes that it's a partnership among the chief executive, the advancement director and their team, and also the board, and just talk a little bit about kind of how that partnership has played out so far, and where it is again going forward, given that you're right in the middle of a major campaign.
Yeah, I mean, the board, I feel, has been, extremely supportive of the efforts, not only with their own contributions to the capital campaign, but also spending time with community members at events to cultivate donors and to join Jeff in making asks of leadership donations. And there's no other testament to the strength of our advancement initiatives and the board's contribution to that, then we've already surpassed the amount that we raised in total for our last capital campaign, which I believe was done 10 or 12 years ago, and we haven't even sort of gone a level deeper beyond the leadership donations so far, and we're still getting through those, and we've already exceeded the past campaign. And so I think that we still have a lot of room here to raise additional capital and hit sort of our targets to be able to pay for and renovate that campus. That's the work that's ongoing right now.
Yeah, and you talked about donor cultivation. Just give somebody who maybe doesn't know a lot about the community of CASE, sort of, what is the sort of philanthropic sort of mindset, and where, what has worked in terms of donor cultivation, or kind of laying the groundwork for what you just described, which is a huge success. Here the campaign is not even really fully underway publicly, and yet, already surpassed some major goals. That's fantastic. Just talk about like what somebody who may not know much about the community, what goes into developing and cultivating current and future donors of CASE.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I would put myself in that category, that there definitely is a little bit of education required. I certainly didn't understand the extent of how just the sort of tuition at independent schools worked, and, covering only a partial amount of the operating costs, and then leaving the remainder for the community to rely on donations to fill in, and, thinking about sort of the logic behind that. So, beyond the education, there's the element of just getting to know members of the community, what motivates them, how they're thinking about the school, what their children's experiences have been, what their experiences have been, and really sort of understanding what motivates people, and it could be any of those aspects that I mentioned to you before, Gabe, whether it's the athletics or the creative arts, or it really is the language immersion, or how they're thinking about the opportunities provided by both the school and the potential of a shiny new campus.
Talk a bit about that potential. What do you think? And we're just sort of surmising here, two people chatting away. This is not like any kind of formal policy or vision conversation, but what is the next chapter for Case? And it could just be settling into a new home and really allowing that sort of community sort of cohesiveness to take hold. But maybe there's other ideas that you've been talking at the board level, or just you as a parent have thought about, or just you almost know organically are going to bubble up. Any just thoughts about where Case is headed?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there are sort of the very tactical and strategic things that we're dealing with today, like permits and general contractors, and what programs and hiring in advance of new programs, like we've mentioned in terms of art or sports or various other programs we might want to add. But beyond that, I think, and I've alluded to this before, that we do have a vision to sort of be, to sort of have the thought leadership around language immersion, Mandarin immersion, be a place where people can share their thoughts and educational leadership in those areas, as well as sort of a safe haven for Asian Americans in the sort of broader political climate. And so I know those are things that are very lofty and long ranging, and so it will certainly take us some time to get there, but that's sort of how we're thinking about the opportunities that we can have with a dedicated facility and lots of space to work with.
That's great. One final question, and just thinking of maybe a personal story, if you will. Let's just say you were at the supermarket or walking on the street, and someone said, "Where do your kids go to school?" And you said, "Well, they go to Case." They're like, "Well, why? Like what's been the impact?" Or give me a little sort of window into like, oh my gosh, when my kid was in third grade, blank happened, or like, this is an amazing, just one little nugget that maybe has a personal touch to you for what makes Case so special.
Yeah, I mean, every day, I think about and even being able to, and my husband doesn't speak Mandarin, but I being able to sort of say things in Mandarin that are like just casual conversation with my children, and being able to speak Mandarin to my mother and my father is really touching to me, because it's not my parents' first language. And even when I'm driving carpool and I'm able to sort of have conversations with the kids in a different language, and children that are not my own, is just impressive to me on a daily basis, because this is an entire new world that is open to people and open to students who may not have had a Chinese or Mandarin background, that are just as skilled as ones that have. And every day I think, well, that's definitely worth sort of the tuition and donations that we've made. This is a skill that they'll have with them for the rest of their lives.
Well, I hope you'll have your next advancement director, maybe not for the rest of your lives, but for a long time to come. And this is an exciting moment for the school. And I think anybody who leans into this opportunity will be joining a great community at a really major inflection point for the school. I mean, I think it's impossible to overstate that. And how exciting to help bring this large transition and campaign to an eventual close. And then there is undoubtedly a new chapter ahead for Case. So thanks so much for your time, Alda. And we look forward to working with you, and all the best. But appreciate your sharing some thoughts right here.
Thanks, Gabe.